Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Politdigm podcast. My name is Red, and I'm joined by my co-host Alpha.
Hello. Before we delve deeper into this one episode, I feel it's important to say that both me and Red are beyond exhausted. So, in short of doing cocaine in order to have energy for this episode, we didn't have the proper mind time to put on the mindset. So, if there's a bit more of a slog, that is why.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I got home pretty late yesterday, so I didn't really have much sleep tonight, so I'm a bit fucked up. That's pretty much what's going
Yeah.
on. But yeah, regardless, before we get into the episode, don't forget to, if you want, support us over on Patreon. If you join our Discord server, our public Discord server, and support us on Patreon, you can submit questions for the podcast Q&A, which we will answer at the end of each episode. With that in mind, this week was my week again to write,
Yeah.
and today is a Tuesday, so the blog came out yesterday. This week I decided to write about the European Union. It's something that I've been taking an interest in, mostly because I didn't know. I mean, I knew a lot about it, but I didn't know as much as I would like, I guess. And so I just kind of had this mentality of like, all right, let's fucking just let's try to educate myself on a bunch of stuff. I watched a crap ton of videos. I did a bunch of research for this blog. I'm pretty sure this is the longest blog we have. If you read it out loud, there's like an estimate that it'll take you like 16 minutes to read it.
Yeah, it's like
So
7 pages, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's 7 pages long.
But I have to say, it's a really good blog. I read through it and I really liked what you did.
It's a hefty one, but yeah, I could have gone into way more detail, but I kind of chose not to. I kind of chose it to cut it a bit short because
Yeah.
I thought that I mean, at the end of the day, I was going to be able to say what I wanted to say in the article on here, on the podcast. So I was like, yeah, there's no need to make it even longer than that. So I was like, yeah, sure, okay, let's make it. Let's try to summarize it a little bit. So there was a bunch of stuff that I had on my first draft, which nobody ever read. Honestly, not even I did. I didn't even read it fully, but I was like, nah, this is still. It's like I read like chapter per chapter, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So I was like, yeah, no, it's still long. This is too long. So I could have I got cut some stuff out, but yeah, still, yeah, I got it's 2,227 words long. It's pretty long. But yeah, so the EU. For those who don't know, me and Alpha live within the EU. In the article, I never really mentioned this. I never mentioned that the Politdigm was uh, situated in the EU. I kind of just chose to write it in a way that deemed like the EU in like a third person thing, right? Like this outside thing that we're not related to, purely out of just I don't know creative choice. No, there wasn't no real reason to why I did that. So yeah, to get into the goods. For those who don't know, the EU, the European Union, was created in 1993, which was created by 6 countries. Those 6 countries are kind of, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's an official name from my understanding, but they are called the Inner Six. Like I don't know, it's just a goofy name. I kind of fuck with it. I think it's sinister for some reason. And those countries are Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Which is funny because now that I look at this list, 2 of these countries recently do not have a good track record for what I'm going to be saying next. Uh, uh, those being Italy and the Netherlands in these last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, this year the EU is 30 years old, which is pretty cool. I don't know why, but I didn't really process that this was happening until I was writing this article where I was like, when was the European Union created or established? And I was like, wait, 1993. That's 30 years ago. Shit, damn.
Yeah.
And of course, we have 27 members. We used to have 28, but the UK decided to be dumbasses and left in
They
2000.
broke from it in this little thing called the fucking Brexit because they are original assholes.
Yeah, and they voted on it in 2016, but then left in 2020. Is it 20 or 21? I never remember.
Give me one
I
second.
think it was January 31st or some shit like that for some reason.
It
Um,
was on the January 31st of 2020.
yeah,
So
yeah,
2020 was a fucking
because
year.
usually on January 31st, a lot of like laws in the EU go into effect on that date. Why? Don't
Uh,
know. But like for example, usually when a country like adopts the euro, it's usually on that date that they do it. I don't
based.
I don't know, random date. But I honestly not really important for what I'm going for the article, but you know, if you want to search it and say it in the comments, I'll be happy to read it. Um, but yeah, so the European Union is a union. It's a group of countries that came together and decided to, hey, we want to work together. We want to sign, you know, treaties and contracts that make it so that we are basically one big group. The European Union itself is not exactly like a single, like it's not, you can't really be like, yeah, this is what the European Union is, but it is most like it's basically a confederacy, which means that it is a um, well, I guess it's easier to explain that there's something known as a federation, which is, for example, what the U.S. is, and a confederation or a confederacy is basically something that is less integrated, less. Help me out here, Alpha.
I'm fucking lost in here too, mate. I'm so sorry.
It's like, I mean, it's basically instead of like having this central government which then controls each state, it is different. It is each member state that essentially kind of controls the government. It's not literally like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's something along those lines. And if you know what the how the EU works, you know
The
that
states make the government,
yeah,
basically.
the states make the government, which is different than what the US is, for example. So that is something to keep in mind. Of course, the EU was mostly made for, you know, being able to have easier trade between companies. Yeah, between companies too, but between
Yeah,
countries. I mean,
well, uh,
uh, I mean, yeah, like it's the trade of companies between countries. But I kind
oh,
of
it's
fucked it.
not that. It's just you went straight for the
The,
trading in company because
yeah, it was more of a
right of
Freudian
West.
slip, to be honest, there than anything else.
Yeah,
Um,
we talk a lot about this.
yeah, and
There's this little
so
thing called capitalism.
yeah, and so yeah, there's that. Of course, the EO is it's a pretty confusing uh, union for reasons I will state later because I have several paragraphs on
Yeah, you
criticisms
wrote a
towards the
blog.
EO.
Would have guessed.
But yeah, there's a lot of shit to talk about. So the main, for example, the main I talked about treaties. The main treaty that EU members sign is the Treaty of the European Union. Who would have guessed that's what they called it? Which basically is, you know,
Original assholes.
saying that you agree to this and this and this and this, blah, blah, blah. You have to follow these rules. You have to, you know, kind of give off a bit of your sovereignty to be able to, you know, be part of of the family. But that's you know, it's part of it.
Hey,
It's part of being being a part of any group. You always have to kind of sacrifice a bit of your individuality. That's how it works, even in a small scale situation. You have the EU has a lot of different institutions. We have the European Parliament, you have the European Council, and the European Commission. And the European Council is not to be mistaken with the Council of Europe, which is a different thing. Because I don't know, they just decided to give almost the exact same name to two different things.
again, an original assholes.
Yeah, it's confusing as fuck. So the parliament is basically responsible for, you know, as a parliament is the idea of it is to represent the people, to represent the, you know, the citizens. It's basically a more organized way to give a voice to the civilians of the European Union. Then you have the council, which is basically uh, the council is it's basically like a thing that it's very annoying because the council and the commission are very similar yet very different, and there's a lot of people that are part of both, yet they're not the same thing.
Fucky.
Yeah, European Union is organized in a very goofy way, which is very hard to explain. But one of them basically is, the group, like it's a group of all like the prime ministers and the presidents of all the countries in the European Union, and the other one is like the a group of elected like representatives of those each countries. So those, in our case in Portugal for the last years, our prime minister was the elected like representative in the European Union, is that which he was part of both. Yet those are two different things. I don't fucking know. But, like
Don't
it's
question it. Just go with the flow.
yeah, it's fucking goofy. I don't know, man. But yeah. Well, I'm not gonna get into it yet. I mean, I think yeah, the next topic is already the the criticisms, but whatever. We move on. We move on. There are other institutions. There are, for example, the institution which I forget the name, but which it's the one that is responsible for the euro, for example. And then we also have the court. Oh fuck, what's it called? It's like the European Union Court of Justice.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not sure if that's the name though.
Yeah, but it's what it is in terms of description.
It is.
It might not be the name of it, but it's a court of justice of the European Union, right? Which is
Yeah.
basically how they uphold laws in the European Union. Simple as that. But yeah, there's different institutions. Those are not the only three, but those are the ones that we are going to be talking about today. More importantly, other than that, of course, the European Union is an area which is very culturally is very diverse. It's going to be always more diverse than like another big like the United States. The European Union is much more diverse than the United States because, of course, it is. Like it's several countries which have had development for thousands of years,
Not only that, it's
and
this the European Union is known for something called we don't have the melting pot, the cultural melting pot that the Americans have, which is basically, oh, you want to be American? You gotta be American.
yeah,
You gotta fucking eat barbecue every single day, brother.
we are like I'm pretty sure I don't think anybody's really patriotic of being European.
Oh fuck
Uh,
no. Yes, there are. There, you got this thing
no,
called
you are like
Eurocentral.
no, but that's different. That's different because like there are people who are proud of being European, but like not through being European. They're proud of being of their country, and their country just happens to be in Europe, basically.
No,
That's
there are. I got a
I've never seen anybody paint their face blue with a bunch of yellow stars and start like shouting EU EU. Like I've never seen that shit. So,
Okay,
uh, I've got a
so
point.
I gotta tell you this. My granny has a friend of hers who is from a relatively wealthy family, and she is extremely Eurocentric. What I mean extremely Eurocentric, I mean that she sent to my grandmother what at the time she believed was true posts about the passing of a new law in the Netherlands, which basically stated, "Yo, if you immigrant, you get in the fuck out."
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't even know. Like,
That I
I don't
almost wrote
even
a blog
like.
about
I
that.
get what you mean, but I don't even know if I can call that being patriotic of being European. I think that's just being racist. So,
No, being patriotic of being European generally comes with being racist because it goes back to this idea of, yo, we in Europe are the
yeah, like the
good.
bastions of like everything.
Eurocentralism, baby.
Yeah, there's that. There's definitely that. Yeah, that is true. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't call that being patriotic. I just call that of like like you said, like a notion of like like racial superiority or cultural superiority. It's different, I guess. It's a different font of the same.
Different font, same song.
Yeah, but yeah. So Europe is a very culturally, multifaceted place. We also have very wildly different politics. It is not, like you can't, like, if you look only at the European Parliament, for example, I guess you could try to follow the the European, political system like the same way that you try to do in the US, but it's not possible. It's not the same thing. Like it's not as easy as that. Each country has their own parties. Some, to be fair, there are some parties which are in more than one country. Um, like in Portugal, we have this one. It's that one purple one. What the fuck is it called? It's like only shown
Uh,
up in the last election, but like they're a part of like this European group, which like they're I think it's called Volt.
I have
No
no
idea. Yeah, I have no
clue.
idea. But like there's always stuff like that, but it's different. And of course, when it comes to the the general just fanciness and the wide cultural background that Europe has. Of course, the EU tries to, um, I mean, it has shows pride in it, because it's basically what Europe is. It's culture, it's
Yeah.
geography, it's
It
people,
shows
it's food,
pride.
it's good ass food.
Oh, yes,
Um,
good as food. We do have some bus and food.
we do. And so, of course, the European Union is going to create certain programs, certain things to take advantage of that. One good example, which is probably the most known if you live in Europe, is Erasmus Plus, which, to be fair, is not only in the European Union. There are countries outside the EU which are part of it, but it's basically a exchange program for students.
Student exchange program.
Exactly. I said the whole sentence in the wrong order.
It
Uh,
happened. Don't worry.
but yeah, there used to be Erasmus, which was just like the base version, which I believe only was European Union countries, and then there's Erasmus Plus, which is like its
Yeah.
new fancy older brother or younger brother, which also I think there's like I think is Brazil part of it? Why am I thinking of Brazil for some reason? Uh,
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 well, I can say that I got pretty sure I got an aunt who benefited from Erasmus when she was younger, as she went to study in England.
England.
The fucking British. I am so sorry if I offended you. However, you are British, so
You are
I don't know if I'm that sorry.
Joke's on you. You're the one who. It's an instant
No,
nerf.
Skylar, I am the one who fucks.
I what? That's not even the line.
You never seen that edit where the guy is like, "I am the one who fucks."
Probably. I've probably seen that. But yeah,
Most likely
there's
erase
yeah
this from
for
my.
Erasmus Plus, there's are countries that are outside the European Union, like the United Kingdom. I think, for example, that's an easy example. Apparently, there China is part of it.
China.
China.
Cool.
Yeah, so there's other countries, right? So they've gone wider, but yeah, apparently it's divided in regions. Region one, two, three, four. Okay, well, doesn't matter. Not the point.
What the fuck?
There's another thing which I put in the blog, which is example the Schengen. Sh-
Shanking.
Where is it? Why can't I find the word on my screen?
Shank.
Shit. Where? Oh yeah, Schengen area. Schengen apparently is a town in Luxembourg, by the way, which is where they signed this treaty. So they named after it. And the Schengen area is basically all the countries in the European Union. Um, and Europe where you can go to without a passport. 24 of the 27 countries in the European Union are part of this. The only ones which aren't is Ireland, Romania, and Bulgaria. Ireland, I believe, had to do with Brexit. I'm not exactly sure why, but I read at some point that it was related to that. Romania and Bulgaria, no fucking clue. Of course, there are also three other countries which are part of the Schengen area, which are not in the EU, which is Norway, Iceland, and Switzerland, meaning that in total there are 27 countries in the Schengen area. But those are not exactly the 27 countries of the European Union, so something to keep in mind.
The more you know.
And so, yeah, these are examples of things that the EU has done to be able to basically create a more interconnected Europe, right? Like being able to bring people into Europe, being able to bring people out of Europe to have cultural exchange, be able to learn with different cultures, different people, and of course be able to make the travel between European countries much easier, which is also
Yeah.
probably the thing that most Europeans like about the European Union is be able to have freedom to travel within the Union
Always about freedom. God fucking damn it.
without you're able to smuggle some good old bananas without being caught. And that's a
Yeah,
and that,
it ain't bananas that you're
and that's
smuggling.
and
But
that's a
okay.
weird and that's no that's a weird reference because when I came from the UK
Oh,
to back to Lisbon this summer because I went to the UK in the summer. I think I've said that before in the previous episode, but whatever. I was like leaving the airport and there's like this little TSA type of area, right? And I see this woman open this man's like huge like not briefcase, a huge traveling case, and the woman opens it and it's just bananas everywhere.
yeah, you did tell me about that.
I was like,
That's pretty
what
funny.
in the actual fuck is this man smuggling bananas? So yeah, that was the reference. That's why I said smuggling bananas. I was
That's
so
actually
confused.
funny.
It's like what the hell? It was just bananas. There was no clothing, nothing. It was just bananas. Like, okay, that's
Taking the "this is bananas" phrases to a whole new level.
this is crazy. Yeah, that was pretty fucking bananas.
Is this
Um,
bananas? No, this is Patrick. I'm so sorry.
what? Okay.
I
Anyways,
just
speaking of crazy people, you and the banana guy. Let's speak about the criticisms of the European Union, which there are a lot. The European Union is criticized a lot, and while some of them I'm like, this seems like you're pushing it now. There are a lot of valid criticism that is, you know, about the European Union. There is a lot. In fact, apparently, I found out that there is a good old, nice term that people call the European Union, which is bureaucracy, saying that there's a bureaucracy, as basically saying that instead of being the European Union, it's just a union of bureaucracy and just bullshit and slow moving bullcrap that nothing gets done. Which is the biggest criticism about the European Union is that nothing gets done. And this is due to the insanely complex system that I mentioned before with those three good old organizations because it is dumb as fuck and makes no fucking sense to me. I've tried it. I when I was doing research for this article, I read about a lot of holy shit. I read a lot about it. I watched a bunch of videos about it, and I still cannot confidently explain it because I still don't understand how it works, and I think that even themselves don't really understand how it fucking works. But yeah, I'm going to try to explain it anyways. So they have this system, right? This kind of process known as the co-decision procedure or some shit, something like that, right? And the whole idea is that the first step is that the Commission, the European Commission, starts by, for example, evaluating a new initiative, right? They look at a new idea, something new, and they're like, all right, let's look at this, and they're like, all right, so this is the good things, these are the bad things, this is what can bring, these are the good things that can bring to the European Union, these are the bad like side effects that can bring to it. We're like, all right, then the Commission does that and then passes on into the Parliament and the Council, right? And then the Parliament and the Council are going to review it, and if they don't agree on it, if they don't agree, if like the Parliament and the Council, if internally, for example, if the Parliament agrees but then the Council doesn't, then you're fucked. But if it's the other way around, the Parliament basically has no power, so you're fucked. And so then you go on to like a second writing, like you have to like re-amend it, like you have to do a little changes to it, right? You're like, all right, so I don't like this, let's do this, let's do that, blah blah. And then if you still don't agree, then you have to do this. You have to create a committee, which I don't even know what that means. I'm going to be totally honest. A coalition committee, I don't know. And then, yeah, and basically, by the time you're actually able to pass this new law or this new thing, you've had so many rewrites and so many procedures and fuck knows what that the law is basically been diluted to jack shit. It is completely different from the original one, and any sense of actual um, excitement that there could have been with the new law is lost because you're like, all right, This was a waste of time, and nothing came from it. So yeah, that's why people are consistently complaining about the EU because of all that shit, which could be done in a much more less uh, complex and a much more streamlined way. And the issue with and all of the process within the European Union is that at the end of the day, there is a clear like the three main organizations. There's a clear like imbalance of power within them. They're not equal. One has more power than the others, and or some have more power than others, and that's not great. For example, the parliament can't actually try to submit a new law. They can't, which is weird because the parliament is those who is the institution which represents the citizens, right? Those who should be able to uh, basically recommend or try to be like, I have an idea for a law, but no, they can't. They simply can't. So yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. And then there's a lot of issues, for example, with just very undemocratic situations within the European Union. For example, famously, Ursula von der Leyen, which is the president of the fuck. Which one of it is it? Hold on. Yep, she is the president of the European Commission. Sorry, she was not elected. She was not chosen. She was basically they had to get a president. The members of the commission, like, they had to get a new president, and they didn't know who to get. I think they were between two candidates, and then Germany was like, "Oh, we have this person here. Oh, how about her?" And everybody was there like, "Sure, whatever, go ahead." So nobody really chose her. No, there was no democratic process to actually get her on board. Which then, when you see what, for example, she did during the current situation in Israel, it makes you go, "Oh shit, that's pretty fucking bad," because she was clearly and openly supporting Israel. So yeah, basically the president of the commission just went on there without anybody really agreeing with what she did and just started spewing shit, and the European Union was like, "Whoa, what are you doing? you you are this is not good. Get the fuck out of there." So yeah, that's fucked. And then there's another issue, something which is the biggest issue, in my opinion, with the European Union as it stands currently, is that when voting on a new law, they have the veto process or the veto voting system. If you don't know what that means, the means, or when you have a veto, means that the voting system, is basically where unanimously everybody has to agree on a certain law. That is cool and all. The issue is that when you, again, as I said before, when you have a union with countries which are so culturally diverse, with so many different political parties, meaning that each country of the European Union can, you can have a extreme leftist country. I don't think you really do, and then you can have a um, modern day fascist country. I'm thinking of at least four right now. Um, you kind of have this moment of like, oh, yeah, there's no way that if they try to pass a new law that is considered progressive, that those countries are going to agree on it, meaning that they have the veto power, meaning that they can stop that law from being passed just because they don't like it, meaning that all the other countries have to just deal with it. So if 26 countries agree on a law, one of them has power to make that law not go into effect, which I find is a big old dookie. I find that bullshit because when you have countries like Poland, which is the example that I used in the article, which are famously very right wing, and currently are like, if you're a queer person living in Poland is hell, like you're fucked.
Uh,
Um, yeah, like how can you, like, if you try to pass any legislation that it has to do with, for example, the protection of people's rights, or anything to do, for example, with queer people, like they're not going to agree on it, and the European Union is going to be there like, "I cool, fun."
yeah.
Wasted
I
time.
it's basically summed up with no, the state, European states that tried to pass a law. No, you can't refuse our law. The state that vetoed. Lol, said the state.
Y-
Lamau.
Yeah,
Like you just get fucked consistently. Like I actually got to talk with a member of my family after I read your blog exactly because of this veto system to know more about it because they have connections with people that work in the European Union, especially in the European Bank, and so they were a bit more informed than me, you can say that. And we were
yeah.
discussing
I
it, and
hope
they were
so.
like, "Yeah, it is fucking stupid."
Yeah, like nothing gets done. Like if the entire bureaucracy of the thing I mentioned before wasn't already bad, even after all that fucking process, everything
You got
can
to
be
veto
undone with a veto with the veto.
the state. Imagine,
It's
like
like boy,
the country
fucking
doesn't
hell.
like you. Done. You're done.
Yeah, like
Months, years of work shut down.
it's like it's annoying because it just makes that the European Union is consistently wasting a shit ton of time, which they could be doing a lot of good. But no, they're
Yeah.
just like they're sitting around being like, I we have this idea, and then there's like one guy's like, nah, they're like, all right,
I mean, some people like
moving on.
maintaining status quo because they're dicks.
Yeah, we call those conservatives. Anyways,
Fair enough.
speaking of conservatives, that was an unintentional segue. We now move on to something which honestly I should have mentioned in the beginning of the episode, which is something that I wanted to really emphasize in this article, which was the current the current problems which the European Union is facing relating to a sudden rise in right wing ideologies.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning of the earlier on, I made a joke about the Netherlands and Italy because when we are talking about progressive stuff and the European Union and stuff like that, when I think last week the Netherlands, the new like they had elections and currently the party that is in power, the one with the most seats in parliament is a I don't even know, is it like it's pretty much just like an extremely conservative party, just like in Italy. And then you have,
Poland,
and then you have,
Austria.
and you have a bunch of different countries. Which Poland, thankfully, they are going to have elections soon, and it seems like they are going to leave behind their ultra conservative party, and they're going to have a slightly less bad centrist party, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Or yeah, so it's like all right, it's better. It's
A
not great,
democracy is better than a
but
fucking
yeah,
dictatorship. So
I mean, they don't even live in a dictatorship, not by definition.
I mean, but in terms of
But
you
like
know
when
what
you
I mean.
have like the my only issue is that like you have a party that is clearly has this insane prejudice against queer people and is
And
extremely
people,
discriminatory and basically you have no rights as human beings, and so having a party that is slightly more towards the left, that's anything's better at that point.
yeah.
So yeah, there's that they can count. So there's been a sudden rise, not just in Europe, in the whole world. I mean, you can see the new fucking president of Argentina. That bitch is going to create the first fourth world country. Like he is on track to do some great work when it comes to showing how bad humanity can be.
I really didn't want to be living in Argentina right now. That sounds like fucking hell.
Yeah, it does because I don't. The guy is insane. He literally has a superhero persona called Captain ANCAP, as in anarchist capitalist, which are some of the dumbest people I've
Oh
ever
my
seen.
fucking god.
Yeah,
Oh no.
and he literally dresses up as a superhero once in a while.
That is actually terrifying.
And he says that he gets his political advice from his dog, which is a clone, or his dogs, which are clones of the same dog he had as a child.
Clearly a stable 10 on the mental chart.
Yeah, this it sounds like I may just made this up. I didn't. This is an actual thing. What I just said are facts.
How the fuck was he elected?
Don't know. I mean, I know how he was elected because the president, his opposition was the previous president of Argentina, which was basically the whole country had agreed on that he was at fault for every problem in the fucking country, and then I think he was something related. Maybe I might be wrong, but there was something related to some sort of corruption. So when your options are The guy who already shown that he's a piece of shit with a guy who might be a piece of shit, they went for the guy who might be a piece of shit.
And they fumbled the ball.
Yeah, because I think he's much fucking worse. I mean, I don't fucking know. Anyways,
I mean,
back
we also don't live in Argentina, so
yeah. So, anyways, back to European Union. So there's been a clear rise in right wing ideologies throughout the world, and of course, our main focus is the European Union in this case. And you might be questioning yourself, why? There are
I
many
mean,
factors.
I actually want to talk about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead then.
Okay, sorry to cockblock you. I was discussing this with members of my family, and one of the main things that I pride myself on is the fact that my family has a very wealthy revolutionary past. I have discussed it before, I'm pretty sure, on the
Yep, you
podcast.
have.
And I was talking with some of my grandparents, and I was asking them, why do you think that there has been such a rise in right wing ideologies? And one of them answered, and I think they answered it beautifully, because the leaders got comfortable. They looked at the horrors that were committed in the last century and thought that no one in their right mind would ever again subscribe to those ideologies. And so that's exactly that. They just got comfortable. They let these powers get stronger and stronger in the shadows, and eventually, when they looked back at the mistakes that they had made and saw a mob claiming for their heads and reciting these values, quote unquote, that were long agreed upon as barbaric, they couldn't do anything because they had let these powers grow and fester. It was the inaction of the democracies and the failure of statecraft as people and political leaders got comfortable with the status quo that led to the rise of the ideologies that were supposed to be dead.
Yeah, and of course, which is the main thing. That's basically the how. Now I have the why, or that gave birth to something, which is why we now have
Okay, let me
right
guess. Let
wing
me guess.
ideology, which is
Immigration.
there you go. And not just any type. There's a specific type of immigration too, because like
Middle Eastern people.
if an American comes to the European
Fuck.
Union, you'll be like, yeah, you dumb American. But you won't really complain because he's a white guy, he's Christian, etc., etc. It
Oh,
is what it is. However, when you start having a bunch of Middle Eastern people who are Muslim coming to a bunch of European countries, people start losing their shit.
yeah.
And a lot of
Because
a lot of
European is where racism and Christianity
was
were
born.
found, bitch. We are the fathers of racism.
You're the founding fathers of races.
I did an oral presentation on the origins of racism and slave trade, which got me, it destroyed me like emotionally on such a level where I couldn't even talk about it for a good two or 3 weeks. And this thing that people forget is that a lot of these very smart people were quite literally the fathers of motherfucking racism.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is that, like Alpha said, you have this um, lack of action from just governments, etc. And what has happened is that when you when the whole world, mostly when it comes to the Middle East, because we're closer to them, sees Europe as like this bastion of hope, which is what we have, the image we have tried to pass to them. No shit that when they dislike their country, when they are part of a ultra religious country that has that oppresses their women, etc., etc. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people that try to seek refuge in Europe. And that's why we have had for the last what decade we've had a large amount of refugees coming into Europe. Of course, I've discussed this in a previous episode. I think that that's fair, and I think that we as as civilians or citizens of the place we live in, all we can do is try to accept them and try to make their lives better. Um, we can't. I mean, we're not going to do in America and be like, all right, no, no, no. What we'll do is we'll go to their country. We're going to overthrow their government. We're going to basically create this weird pseudo dictatorship, and then so they have no reason to escape. They have no reason to leave their country anymore. So that's how we lead with the refugees. No, that's not how you lead with refugees. It's not by uh, doing colonialism. That's
Harder.
yeah. That's not how you do it.
Like they looked at they looked at the 1600s and 1500s and saw the European powers and said, "Bet."
Yeah,
Like
we can do better
we
than
as
that.
Portuguese especially are extremely hypocritical when it comes to
Yeah,
this issue because while we were in dictatorship, a lot of Portuguese people fled to France. We are talking hundreds of thousands.
yeah.
Uh, and now, if you go to a Portuguese person and are like, "Yo, what do you think about immigrants?" He might say to you, "Fuck 'em, not human." But how about us? We immigrated.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Nah, it's different.
You don't get it.
It's
You don't get it. I'm edgy and cool. So yeah, there's a clear issue here, and of course, there is like undoubtedly a humanitarian crisis when it comes to dealing with refugees because we're not really doing a good job at all at dealing with the situation, and that causes panic in people because you're starting to see a lot of immigrants everywhere because that's how it works. And that causes a lot of fear in people. And of course, right wing parties, their favorite thing is fear for the unknown, is fear for things that people don't understand. And of course, they weaponize the fear that people have for created by immigrants because they're afraid that their their cultures are being replaced. That they're going to affect
a
their
great
their se-
replacement
their
for you.
they're gonna affect their security because they see any like mostly Muslims as like terrorists and etc. Um, which is something that the U.S. has done an amazing job at creating that fucking fear. Fuck you.
Yeah,
And of course, there's just like this kind of stupid and unrealistic idea that like, oh, they're gonna steal our jobs, which is stupid because that
because
doesn't
the only
happen.
job that they take is the ones that are available because people are too
Yeah,
fucking stubborn to have blue collar jobs if it's not absolutely necessary to their
because
survival.
it's hilarious because like the only jobs that like immigrants mostly have are low paying jobs. The jobs
Yeah,
that you
blue
see,
collar jobs.
jobs that you see most people, right? Like you're not going to be seeing like unless you live in the middle of a city, you're not going to be able to see people who work at an office every day. Like but you go to your local store, you go to a supermarket, you're going to see the cashiers, you're going to see the people who work there. Therefore, you have this inflated idea that there are much more immigrants taking jobs than there actually are. No, you're just the jobs that you interact with most are the ones that they have because those are the lowest paying.
Yeah, and
God damn it.
besides, they mostly only have access to those jobs because of prejudice or cultural and language barriers.
Yeah,
It's not like
and
they went to a native person's house, kicked down the door, and replaced them. They only have those jobs because they were available. There is the a great skit of a comedian who was like, "I came to the U.S. because everyone was saying that the immigrants were taking all the jobs and all the women,
yeah,
and here I am,
I wanted some. I wanted some
fucking
of.
comedian."
I wanted some of those jobs and some of those women. Yeah, it's stupid. So of course, there's a lot of fear mongering that right wing parties are doing, and mostly now that that the Portuguese government is in shambles. um,
Yeah, we saw
when
a
you
fucking rise in right wing
yeah,
support that, and we saw something curious, which was our most extreme right wing party becoming a lot more
fascist.
moderate.
No,
No, the opposite actually. You have examples. We got a big
I mean it makes sense.
corruption scandal,
It does make
and
sense because I mean when you
they're
have
trying to appeal to the center right.
exactly, and when you have
And that's where you perceive
when
these are fucking politicians. They're not the saviors of the country.
or some
They
crazy
are
people spewing shit.
sly human beings. They are fucking savages. They are fascists in the
Yeah,
most literal sense of the word. Their party was founded on lies. They had to fake signatures to make the party be founded. And even then, if they could, they would plow down on one knee and suck Mussolini's cock while calling him El Duce,
goddamn, that you went deep in there. But yeah, it's
just like they did with Mussolini's cock.
there's been a clear rise in right wing support, and me and Alpha have experienced this firsthand at our school,
Yeah, you saw my
um,
reaction the other day.
where we have had multiple I won't even call it debates, but there's been multiple conversations which we've had with people at our school, which suddenly are like, yeah, I'm in the next, like some of them are already 18, so they're like, yeah, in the next election, I'm gonna vote for the current like most right wing party, and I'm there like, whoa, why the fuck would you do that? And they're like, yeah, because like we need change. I'm like, bro, like their whole political ideology is doing everything, is doing the opposite of which the left do. They have no opinions and no actual ideology. Their whole ideology is based on nah. That's their whole thing. And how the fuck do you think that when the country is currently has an immense amount of societal issues that that you're going to vote for a fucking party which their whole thing is that they give zero shit about people and their whole focus is on corporate assholes. You need to vote for a party that cares about the social part, aka socialist, for fuck's sake. That's the whole point. You dumb
I mean, we
hood.
were at school and I had a
Damn
guy
it.
next to us literally say, okay, I don't support the party, but I do agree on one thing. And it's the fact that these guys are going to solve our social economic crisis. And I literally saw what I was doing, turned to him, grabbed him by the shoulder and said, okay, you listening to me? Okay, you listening? You listening, right?
What the
They
fuck you?
fucking won't! These people are animals! They do one thing right, and it's calling out the issues that the public is actually suffering from and not doing jack shit about it! You go to their proposals, and they don't do shit! Literally! The only thing that these right wing, fear mongering assholes do right is being able to perceive what the public is discouraged by. And seeing as though modern democracy has failed so many countries, they are extremely open to go into these right-wing fringe ideologies, which were supposed like when you look at any form of pop culture. Any form of pop culture from the last century, and these are the bitches that get shot by the main protagonist. It's you get Indiana Jones shooting Nazis, and then
Yep.
you get neo-Nazis in the United States. You get the rise of fascism again 2.0 in Europe. And you look at the actual proposals that these monsters offer, and it's a rehashing of the same old extremely xenophobic, conservative, inhumane proposals of the past, and still we don't learn anything. We had a world war about this. We won.
I mean,
Why are we doing this again? Are we that mentally ill and riddled with Alzheimer's to the point that we forgot what happened in the last fucking century. It wasn't even 100 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
there's
is going on? I am so disgruntled with humanity, and I'm fucking 17.
And so, yeah, and the issue is that the majority of people don't actually understand politics. They don't. They don't know. They don't care, and all they want is to go into the voting booth and just do a little check on the person that they
They do a
believe
little trolling.
on the person that they and vote for the person that they believe will do the best job. Now the thing is, when you don't understand politics, when you don't fundamentally understand the problems that we have at hand and how the political landscape works, it is very easy to fall for the classic trap of basically going for the person who gives you the best and easy solution to your problems. The thing
The
is,
supposed solution.
the
Yeah.
problem is that societal issues is not an easy solution. I mean, it is, but it also isn't. You know what I mean? Like it is.
It isn't because people are dicks.
Yeah, it isn't
It
because
is
people are
because
stupid and dicks. But if everybody was actually smart, it would be easy as fuck, and we could solve them. I mean, not literally, but tomorrow, right? It would be relatively quick. And so it is annoying to see that there's the fear mongering, there's all this shit, and then basically the right wing populist, not populist, what's the term,
populist.
parties are like, yeah, like we look at all these issues we have people who don't want to work, we have a bunch of parasites in our country, we have immigrants, we have all this, and then we have these weird goofy rainbow people, we have this and then that, and then women are talking too much and not making enough
They gotta go back
sandwiches.
to the fucking kitchen.
And what we need is strong men again. And what
Oh
we
man,
need
yeah.
is to pay less taxes because taxes are bad. It's the same shit over and over again. And so people fall
I
for it.
was talking with the taxes issue is great because, for example, we had to make some construction work near a place near my house, and it was in the like the thousands when it came to the price of the thing itself. And then I looked at the taxes, and it was like, okay, taxes 23% of the total value. How the fuck will people pay that? If it was 5%, fuck, I'd pay it. But it was 23%.
Yeah, it's a lot. But oh boy,
And then
my
this is a vicious cycle because people don't pay taxes. There is no income of money. I'm gonna kill myself.
yeah, there's a fundamental just
Yeah, we
not
do a little, we do a little fucky.
people just don't understand how what taxes are, how they work, and understand that, hey, look, when you pay taxes, you're basically making sure that you have a bunch of quote unquote free stuff further on. And I
Yeah,
always use this example, like, what would you rather do? Pay um, $10 a month and make sure that whenever you get sick, you can go to the doctor for free, or whenever you go to the doctor because you're sick, you have to pay $1,000 just in one go, just one go. That's it. Just there, go. It's like, what would you rather do? Of course, you'd rather pay the $10 every month. Like that's logical. That's what you would do. But people don't understand that's how taxes work. That's fundamentally how taxes work. It's just the idea that like you give money to the state and the state pays for shit, so you can have it for free.
yeah,
That's it.
basically.
Taxes. That's all it is. So when you don't have taxes, it means that everything is privatized, or you have to pay everything in just one go, which people can't do. Like you can't just suddenly pay for something that expensive out of the fucking blue. Like you can't. So it is what it is. But
It
we
is what it
digress. Let's move on to the next part, which is exactly what does this whole right wing thing mean in a more political sense, right? Well, what does this mean? Like, how is this going to affect the European Union? And funny enough, not that funny. Next summer,
is.
we're going to have election. There's going to be an election cycle for the European Parliament, um, and it's not looking good. Not that good. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's not great. It's not. There's not. I'm not excited about it. Basically, the current um, fuck, what's the word?
Dickhead.
The current
Prime something.
projections. The current
Oh yeah, yeah,
projections
yeah.
is that there's going to be a rise of some right wing parties. So currently, I'm going to say the main. I'm going to tell you what are the main parties in the European Parliament. We have the left, which is the left,
Base
which are pretty much like communist parties, stuff like that.
socialist ish.
Then we have the socialist and democratic democratic. Fuck. You have the socialists and the Democrats. That's the name of the party. It's fucking confusing. Okay, I hate saying it. My brain does not want to make it work.
Cute.
Then you have the Greens, which is basically any party that basically has a focus on the environment, etc. Then we have Renew Europe. I don't know. I they are towards. I think there are like center left, more towards the center. I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Then we have EPP, which is the European People's Party, I think, which is a liberal, right wing liberal party, which is the current main party. Then we have the European Conservatives and Reformist Group, long ass name, fuck you for that, which is
Yeah,
by the name is not great. That's terrifying. Conservatives and reformists in one sentence scares me. And then there's an even scarier one, which is so hold on, this text is way too small. Which is the fuck? Where is
is
it?
what?
I couldn't read the text on the image I was looking at.
Oh, okay. You kind of scared me on that.
And then there's the freedom and direct democracy, which is yeah,
What's the
that's
wait?
and there's
Which
a that's
can you tell
also
me
that's even more on the right. That's even
the
more on the
acronym?
right. And then there's even one that's even more on the right, which is the Europe of nations and freedom. So when you start talking about too much of freedom, that usually means that there's no freedom.
Yeah, you gotta learn from the Americans.
Yeah, it reminds me of this classic question: is what would you rather have? Games in limited games, but no games. Like what? That means nothing, right? So I either have freedom, a lot of freedom, but no freedom. So, okay, so it's bullshit, right? It's fucking
Well, you can
bullshit.
have freedom, but you can't have all the freedom,
Yeah. So
and we
it's
know which freedom is good for you, cause we
the
know.
freedom that is good for you is the freedom that I want you to have. That's basically their whole idea.
For God and
Uh,
country, everyone.
and so basically, the current
Yeah, no,
projection
wait.
is that the EPP, which is the current main party, is going to stay in power because they have a coalition with the SND, which is the Socialist and Social Democrats parties, meaning that they usually have a coalition, which means that they are slated to win. And then the Renew
I gotta say, it's so fucking weird hearing those names in English.
Yeah, and then there is currently the third largest party is the Renew Europe, which is allegedly or in the projections not going to be in third place anymore. In third place, you're going to have the I believe is the Conservative and Reformist Party, which seems like it's going to go up to third place with a gain of 23 seats from the last elections.
We have a
And
lot of parties. I think the Americans might be a little confused.
the other right wing one, the even more right wing one, is also going to, I believe, going to fourth place or some shit. I don't know.
We're
It's
going
go
to fourth base, everyone.
it's not it's there's basically any party which is more towards the center is going to fall a bit in power, and the left is seems like it's going to stay about the same. The right center is going to lose a little bit but not too much, and then the right is going to raise. So what does this mean? It means that
We made a fucky wucky.
we're not the European Union is not going to dismantle. All this means I mean, what it means exactly is hard to say. Of course, I mean these are projections. Means that this is not the result. Only in the summer will we actually know what this means. However, we can make an educated guess, which is that since we're the APP, which is currently kind of tweaking its ideology to be a little more pandering towards the right out of convenience, which is, I hate it when politicians do that. I hate when they change their politics out of convenience to gain more votes. I think it's pathetic and sad.
It is.
So basically, what might happen is that there isn't going to be like we're not going to start passing insanely like fascist laws. Most likely not going to happen. There might be some laws that are related to immigration which are going to be a little funky and not exciting at all and very inhuman, but most likely that's going to happen on more of a state by state situation like Italy is doing rather than like a European like a EU wide law, because immigration is something that is part of is something that is chosen by each state. It's not something that the European Union has power over all the states. And so most likely what's going to happen is that there's just going to be a stagnation of like development of the European Union. We're probably not going to accept new members because the parties which are going to gain more prominence are not fans of the European Union getting bigger. So I highly doubt that Ukraine will be joining anytime soon. But we'll see. Maybe I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And generally because the larger parties which are currently in place are going to be the ones who are going to still be in power, they are most likely to pander towards the right, or most likely just going to calm their tits, and try to be less progressive. So what we're going to see is just 5 years of bleh, just jack shit going on, most likely. There's not going to be too much progressive progression.
Progressive progression.
Yeah, uh,
Yeah, things are fucked.
so I don't think things are going to change for the worse, but they're not going to get better. Is the best explanation I can give. Um, Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the political stuff that I can talk to you about. When it comes to the future right now. However, I would like to, which is why I wanted to write this article. This is what motivated me the most. Is what do we envision for the future? What do we want for the future? Not what we think was going to happen, because if we start going too nihilistic here, we're going to talk about the end of the world and everything's going to burn down and we're all going to die. But what do we hope that the European Union would be? So, as I said before, and I have to make this short because the episode is already an hour long. As I said before, the European Union currently works in a more confederal situation. And I think it was Germany who themselves, and even France and other countries, have shown interest in federalizing the European Union. What that means is that we would have a similar situation to the United States. Not literally like the United States, because the United States is undemocratic hellhole. But obviously, we would have our own version of it. There's also been ideas of having a tiered version of the European Union. What this would mean is that you can either join the federal European Union, or you can join the current, like something that would be the equivalent to the current European Union, or you can join the Council of Europe, which is, for example, the UK still is part of it, which is basically just this council of European countries. It's not the European Union, but it's like you would have different levels. You can integrate into the country and into the European Union in different ways. For example, I think it was Macron, which I hate that I agreed with him on something, which is the one who proposed this idea of a tiered European Union, mostly out of the idea that there are countries which are prepared for more, countries which are not prepared for more, and those who want to be part of the European Union but do not yet have the ability to, but they should still be somehow integrated in a lower form. Uh, and I agree. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. So, and a federal European Union would basically mean that there are very like there are certain sectors, certain main and important sectors of the economy, et cetera, which will be which the laws will and everything will be basically decided and controlled by the European Union, unlike how it is now. An example of this would be, for example, as I said before, a European like federalizing or creating a federal immigration law, right? Saying, all right, every country in the European Union has this immigration law. Of course, that is cool and all, but it's a very scary thing to say because that needs to be done right. Because if you federalize it and then create a law that is based off of white supremacist, racist ideals, yeah, I'd rather not have it. Just it's better to not have it. What you need is a law that ensures that there are basically that you are going to invest into immigrants, into to people like in communities of immigrants. There you're going to give them essential amenities like schools, hospitals, community centers. There you're going to create like more programs so there's more cultural exchange. What that will allow is, for example, and I can speak this for myself. When you are a kid who is more, which interacts more with people from different cultures, you become more understanding of different cultures, and the probability of you being a raging racist is going to be less. When you are exposed to different cultures, you are aware of how they truly are, and so you're much less susceptible to uh, right wing bullshit. So it's a two birds, one stone type of shit. You get less racist people and less right wing politics, which is beautiful. I love that. I would love that for everybody.
All in.
And so you need to do that. You need to rather than being like, all right, let's which is what Italy wants to do is basically like let's create a fucking barricade in the middle of the ocean, not the ocean, the fuck was it called, the Mediterranean Sea, and be like, yeah, let's just like arm the entire sea and be like, nah, nobody can go through. Fuck you, die. You're a bunch of I don't even know beings, not even humans. So we don't deserve to enter my country. Fuck you. So no, that can't be done. You need to let them in. You need to make sure that you invest in these people and make sure that you are actually giving them the the resources that they need to survive. Which, of course, this will lead to lesser social problems. Will lead to less to basically, which is something that you see a lot in the US, which is like this idea that, for example, like creating stuff like the hood, right? Creating these segregated areas where people have worse conditions, and because of their conditions that they live in, they are going to start acting against the law and shit, like how some people like to say, not because they just like, not just because their whole community is just a bunch of I don't know
Criminals.
what,
Criminals.
yeah, criminals, but because they literally most likely needed to survive, and it's just that their
It's not
social,
that it's that like poor conditions leads to poor education. Poor education leads to even worse conditions, and then crime rates
yeah.
go up.
So it's a slippery slope of bad
Fuckery.
of social issues. So there's that. Um, Other situations, which is something that I think should be federalized, is stuff. For example, like like environmental laws. I think that the idea of having like a consistent law in Europe, which says, all right, we cannot do this or this or this or this because this harms the environment, and stuff like that would be a net profit for the entire European Union, because you would have a European Union that is much more caring and safeguarding its environment, which is something that is very important, because without the environment, everything else is pointless. Because if there's no planet, then we might as well just nuke ourselves to death. And of course, I think that another part that is very important is, for example, the energy sector, because let's be real, the energy sector is a fucking abomination, mostly when it comes to oil and all that shit, which Alpha will hopefully soon talk about that, and we can
Working
have
on it.
we can
Working on
we
it.
can have another episode where we lose our minds because holy shit, are oil companies a bunch of monsters? They are fucking who? It's a whole different kind of worms.
Yeah.
And so having basically this entire sector which has to do with development of for example renewable energy sources, which goes into the environment and all that, would be great. Of course, the idea is to always try to unify countries as much as possible. Of course, there's a very important thing, which is that the idea is to not be like, yeah, let's do some Nazi shit and be like, yeah, let's just control
Oh,
like
oh no.
yeah, because like there's always that one American guy who's gonna be like, why doesn't Europe become one country? It's like there was this guy in the 40s, actually the 30s, which really wanted to do that, and nobody
There was
liked
also
it.
this one guy in the. It was actually like a couple of guys
Yeah.
throughout centuries.
So there's been a
This
bunch of
little place
fuckers.
in the Mediterranean. They had an eagle, and
Yeah.
I think they spoke Latin or something.
And then there was these French guys. There's these French guys. There was like this guy who was famously short, and then there's
Yeah.
this other guy with with the mustache. So there's been a lot of attempts at that. And
You know that Napoleon had, when he was doing a campaign in Egypt, the English who were fighting against Napoleon in that campaign caught a bunch of letters that Napoleon sent to his wife, basically berating her furiously because everyone knew that while he was gone, she was having a public affair. And so the English grabbed these letters of their current enemy and posted it on basically every single journal in England, which is the most British thing I've ever fucking heard.
homie knows that historical gossip. Um, so generally speaking, I think that how you can conclude what I'm trying to say is that generally speaking, we are humans. We are a species. We have similar problems. We all deserve the same rights because human rights and all that. And even if there weren't the universal human rights decree, you would still deserve them because you don't need a fucking paper to prove that we deserve them. At least that's my opinion. But even there's people who, even with it written down, they still don't agree on it. So it is what it is. Generally speaking, the idea of having a more unified Europe where we work better together, where there are certain parts of Europe which are uh, more what's the word
You lost me on this one.
more centralized rather than being scattered throughout the countries, because there simply are just things that like I understand. For example, each country should have control over their culture, um, you know tourism and all that stuff. But like, there's going to be always situations like the environment, which, let's be real, like why is there a necessity
It
of there
doesn't
being?
belong to one country.
Yeah, it doesn't belong to one country. Like, this is not. In fact, like, I am of the opinion that like it shouldn't even be a European Union thing. It should be like a
A
United
global,
Nation, like a United Nations type of shit. Like, it should be go much more further
it's
than
called
that.
global crisis for reasons because it's one, a
Yeah.
crisis, and two, global, dickhead.
Yeah, and there's that, and then of course there's the classical thing which I think the Europeans should adapt, which is, you say it with me, Alpha, socialism. Damn, you fucked it up.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
first try.
because let's be real, like communism,
We're
commun
not
whoa,
socializing anything.
because capitalism is on the downfall, and arguably it's already fallen. It's just people haven't
I
realized
have
it's dead yet.
so far we have fallen.
And so it is, we are fucked. Like, we are in a situation where we really need to get rid of it. And it's not a matter of, hey, it would be really nice if we had socialism because we would live in a better situation. No, it's like we need it. We need it. And if we don't have it, In the
We
next
need
100
something
years,
by the people
we're
for the people.
fucked. We are fucked. Like, we are doomed. We're gonna die.
Actually, you wanna
We're
you
gonna
know
go
uh,
extinct.
what's the origin of the word doom?
No, I do not.
Okay, it's basically this idea that your fate is already predestined,
It's
predestined.
determined.
It
Oh,
doesn't have to be negative. Like you would call a doom story a story in which the beginning already tells you how it's going to end. It can be good, it can be bad. I don't think we are doomed. We are, however, fucked if we stay inactive. That's the big thing. It's
yeah.
our inaction that will kill us all.
Because the issue, of course, that we have with capitalism is that the capitalism
Capitalism,
its main focus is the production of
capital.
capital, and production of
Who would have
capital
fucking
means
guessed?
nothing. It is pointless in the grand scale of the universe. It is completely fucking nothing.
Money is a social construct.
Exactly.
You
We made
shitheads.
it up, and if tomorrow I decided that money has no value anymore,
I'll fucking do it again.
it can have no value anymore. And so you need to focus on the people. You need to focus on the social aspect of life because that is the only thing that is real, the only thing that's tangible, the only thing that truly
There is
matters.
no God. There is no spaghetti monster. There is no pantheon. There is the meaning that we give to life, and we
Yeah.
should fucking do something about it. This is actually something that I find extremely fucking funny, which is the fact that of all the groups of people, it is the religious bastards who are consistently the most abhorrent human beings.
Yeah.
The ones that say, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not harm, thou shalt consider him your brother," and then you go, "Yeah, fuck it." War crimes go. Brrr.
Yeah, and I think I mean this is a like I mean kind of like a almost classical thing which people have pointed out time to time, which is that there are a lot of people which try to I mean there's a lot of people that try to justify their horrible acts with religion, which I think is dumb and pathetic, etc., and sad, like I said before, with politicians. And there's of course something that I hate, which is that where there's always that one religious person that goes, yeah, but if you're an atheist then you're immoral because you have no reason to be moral. It's like, bitch,
Doesn't work like that.
what are you talking about? Like, how, what, you can only be more, you can only have morality if you believe in God? What
If
the
you need,
fuck?
if you need punishment in order to be morally correct and righteous, you are nothing but an animal
Yeah,
and a
like,
savage that needs the stick in order to not feed at the crops. I have my thesis on morality is the shopping cart. You want
what?
to hear it?
Sure, go ahead. I'm
Okay,
confused.
you go to a supermarket and you take out a shopping cart. You do everything you need to do. You take the shopping cart near your car. You unload your groceries. Now, you have a shopping cart and you can either put it back from where you took it or you can just leave it be. There is no punitive action towards you if you don't put the shopping cart back in its place. However, it is the moral correct action to put the shopping cart back in its place, as it will be ready for other people to use and will not disturb them as they try to navigate the parking lot. If you do not put the shopping cart back from where you took it, it means that you need some sort of punitive action in order to do the morally correct thing. And if you need that, you are no more than a beast. So those that do not put the shopping cart back into their place near the the shopping center are no more than animals.
Yeah,
That is
it's
my thesis on morality.
it's the whole basis of it's like a person who is moral,
Yeah,
just because they live and that's part of being
yeah,
alive. Uh, they are being moral with the exception of receiving nothing back,
yeah.
essentially.
I'm getting
Like
my
you,
dick throb with philosophy right now, because that's basically the thesis of this guy. You might have heard of him. He was called Kant.
can't, but sure.
Immanuel Kant. Okay, fuck you. And he basically made his thesis on morality. And it's this idea that there are three types of actions: immoral actions that are against the law and established moral rules, amoral actions, which are done in conformity with the law and moral rules, but are only done in order to
A piece.
use something like, oh, I am going to help this lady cross the street because it makes me feel good, or because I don't want to be seen as a dick.
Yeah,
And then you have the moral actions, in which you do the action for the sake of the action. And you can distinguish what's moral and amoral by basically universalizing it.
yeah,
So you think, if everyone acted the way that I'm acting right now, would that be moral? If everyone grabbed the lady and fucking quarterbacked her across the street into the incoming traffic, would that be moral? Oh, but if everyone helped her because that's what you're supposed to do, then yes. It's like lying. Should you lie? I don't know, it depends. Okay, can everyone lie? No. Society will break down. Then lying is amoral.
yeah. So and I hate that thing which I said before, which is like the idea that like yeah you can't be moral if you're not religious. Like boy do I have a
I am more moral because I'm not religious.
it's like boy do
Because
I
I
have a
value man for what he is, and
yeah,
not. I'm not. I don't have a sacred text telling me how I should and shouldn't act. I act because I understand these beings around me, and I value them as that, as infinitely complex people in themselves, which can't be quantified.
yeah. Anyway, speaking of value, if you value our work and would like support us because of it, make sure support us over at Patreon. As I said before, if you do so and join our Discord, you can submit questions
Yeah.
for the weekly podcast Q&A, where right now, hypothetically speaking, we would be answering all your questions, or not all your questions, because otherwise we would never go to sleep and live. But of course, we'll try to answer a couple of
Yeah.
them and give the best answer that we can. Um,
Nevertheless, because it wasn't explicit, the Discord in itself is free. You can join it in at any time.
yeah,
Should share with us. It's only the Q&A section that is disclosed off to Patreon members.
yeah, we have a specific Patreon special part, which you can only access, of course, if you're a supporter. And with that in mind, I don't believe there's any questions.
Nah, not this week.
So we'll see you all next week
Beyond,
with hopefully a alpha article.
I am so fucking tired.
So get ready for some good old alpha rambles
Depressing shit.
next week. Anyways,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.